about Joe Burrow, who strategically gets his signing right after the NFL season kicks off. And we got some chirps out there of, oh, I wonder if it's because Joe Burrow's up in the Patrick Mahomes rivalry. I wonder if it's because maybe he was trying to send out some sort of message before the game got started to Patrick Mahomes, if maybe Brittany Mahomes was checking her phone or Patrick Mahomes was checking his phone. I know that's kind of far-fetched, right? But when I heard some people kind of chirping about that, I was like, you do what you got to do to get an edge in the NFC. But Joe Burrow, 5 years, $270 million, now the highest paid quarterback in NFL history, now the highest paid player in NFL history, and that's happened now 4 times this season with Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, and now Joey Burrow. Joe Cool, ice in his veins. Joseph Lee Burrow has his contract. And I'll always say it. Joe Burrow was a guy coming out of LSU. I didn't know if he would actually live up to this. But 2 healthy seasons, a Super Bowl and an AFC title game appearance, really 2 of them, of course. But to get to the Super Bowl, you got to go through the AFC title game. So Joe Burrow gets $219 million guaranteed, which is the second most ever, behind Deshaun Watson's $230 million fully guaranteed that he signed with the Cleveland Browns March of last year. And again, notice how they did it right as the season kicked off. I think that's a very strategic move there from the Cincinnati Bengals. $55 million a year is the most ever, and of course leads the NFL as the highest paid player. But now we ask the question, and this is one thing that kind of pisses me off about how the NFL pays quarterbacks nowadays, is because, you hear everybody, win before you pay your quarterback. Win before you pay your quarterback. Sign your, go cheap on offense or defense if you need to. You have to invest into the trenches, your quarterback, and pass rusher falls in the trenches, and a good corner, right? Like, we know there's those 3 to 4 positions in football that are non-negotiable. You have to pay them. And I don't want to see the Bengals become a team where now Joe Burrow is the highest paid quarterback of all time, and they go on and they're not able to bring in more players. They're not able to possibly extend both a Higgins and a Chase. They possibly let one have to walk. How does it come down to when you're going to need a defense in a loaded AFC? Are you just going to look to shoot out with some of the best teams, which it could be that way? We don't know how the AFC's necessarily going to separate itself this year. Is it just going to be who scores the most points, or whose defense is actually going to show up in a vital moment? And again, we just don't want to see, I don't want to see a young team like the Bengals, who just got turned around really quick as we've ever seen, resets the quarterback market with Joe Burrow. Resets the quarterback expectation market. First full healthy year, and he's damn near winning a Super Bowl. I mean, what can you realistically knock on him or make a knock on that for him? You can't. Don't even try to do it. But again, you want to ask yourself, how does this team now build? How do they pay and build around him? And we know, again, once you pay the quarterback, it could be harder to reach the Super Bowl, pay your key players, bring in more players. And that is, again, one thing I don't like, is how when you can pay a quarterback, you're going to just unload the Brinks truck on them. I feel like every quarterback, if the market would have stayed the same, they would have been okay with hovering around 30 to maybe 40 million a year. But now we've got guys making 55 million a year. So damn sure Patrick Mahomes is going to get a 58 to possibly 62 to $65 million a year deal. He's a 2-time Super Bowl MVP. He's a 2-time MVP. He's a 2-time Super Bowl champion. He's never played a playoff game on the road. He's never played, there you go, a road playoff game. But you just don't want to see the Bengals get cash strapped, right? And the defense is good. It was 6th overall in points per game last year, and we know the offense is clearly elite. So the weapons are set. It's just going to be more of keeping your guys in place. And T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, those are the big guys that are up next already. Thankfully, they have paid Logan Wilson. But when you look at Jamar Chase, your receivers are making anywhere from $23 to $30 million a year. I have a very strong feeling Jamar Chase is going to be a top 3 paid receiver in the league, if not the highest paid wide receiver by the time his contract comes out. Clearly, Justin Jefferson is going to be getting paid as well. And T. Higgins could command anywhere from that 23 to maybe 25, $26 million range for a wide receiver, especially knowing that he is the wide receiver too. And you got guys like Chidobe Awuzie, of course, Tyler Boyd, DJ Reader, a little on the back burner at the moment because you got more important players up front. But I found an article here actually describing how the Bengals were able to sign Joe Burrow to that record contract. And it's really because of the NFL salary cap. Because, of course, a lot of people are going to say, what about Jamar Chase's extension next year? Are they going to be able to keep T. Higgins if that's a possibility? Are they going to possibly end up like the Chiefs could possibly be thinking right now? Great quarterback, but not a lot of weapons to throw to in a second-tier defense. But let's take a breath. Let's look at how the NFL salary cap is going to play out. because of course that is the cap that the league puts on teams so they don't overspend. The way it works though is, hold on, I'm trying to find it here. So the salary cap in 2023 is going to be just south of 225 million. In 2024 it's going to jump to 256 million. 2024 is the last year on Joe Burrow's current rookie deal, the 5th-year deal that they picked up. He's scheduled to make 29.5 million. Then in 2025, Joe Burrow's new contract kicks in that he just signed. The salary cap jumps to 282 million. And then in 2026, it just shows you that the more that the NFL makes, the more that they're going to allow their teams to spend, which I think that's great. Give it back to your players, give it back to, the teams to spend money, sell more merchandise, make different things, whatever the hell they want to do, right? It's expected to jump to 306 million, damn near 100 million more than it is right now in just a mere 3 years. So imagine quarterbacks are probably going to be making 65. Oh God, I don't know. That's going to be scary as hell if a quarterback is literally making 65 to $70 million a year. But here's why it isn't necessarily so frightening over time as we talk about Joe Burrow's contract. It's going to take up 20% of the salary cap in 2025. And then when the actual new deal kicks in, it's only going to take up 18% in 2026. And then, of course, barring anything happens in the NFL, which even though with the pandemic year, um, you know, things tailored off with sales and there was clearly nobody at the games, this, that, and the third. The NFL is going to be good in terms of money. People still buy nosebleed seats. Y'all know we just bought our tickets to the Saints-Falcons game on November 26th. People are still buying merchandise. Anything that they can get their hands on for their favorite NFL team, they're going to make it happen. And you notice this year also, Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert, now Joe Burrow, Jalen Hurts as well, got new NFL records for salaries. And you take a look at the Bengals, they're notoriously underspenders, so they don't want to always stretch to the cap space limit. 2023, they had the 4th most cap space in the NFL. So basically the 4th most amount of money that they didn't spend towards the most money, of course, as the NFL salary cap. But it does make it interesting as how things are going to play out. And like I said, Joe Burrow's contract, as it goes on, it's going to take on less and less of that salary cap. But you even look in 2024, the Bengals have right now at least 45 million in cap space to play with, which could be enough to bring T. Higgins back. Obviously, Jamar Chase is going to get his deal as well. I think he'll make at least 30 a year, if not more than that. So it's going to be interesting to see that Chase, Burrow, Higgins, obviously Tyler Boyd is a little bit down the line. But just kind of getting into the deeper parts there of what would actually happen for the, Cincinnati Bengals and the Joe Burrow situation. But hats off to you, Joe. You played at Louisiana State University. You were the last person that brought a title to the state of New Orleans. You take your 5 years, 270 million, 219 million guaranteed, transferring from Ohio State to having the best college football quarterback season and college football quarterback season. Yes, in I almost said in NFL history, in history, with the best LSU team in history, with the best college football team potentially in history, and you go deserve that contract. Because I'm going to tell you straight up, man, I didn't expect you to play the way that you do right now, and you're blowing my mind. And I love to see it. You deserve your money. Go get what you need to go get.